Hello, and you're very welcome to Friday's edition of The View, brought to you by Allianz. Well, coming up on the show, we have Bubbles O'Dwyer and Podge Collins. They're going to be here to look ahead to this weekend's Allianz Hurling League. And as we know, the footballers, they have a down weekend. So it has afforded us the opportunity to have an exclusive sit-down interview with Meath Manager Robbie Brennan. Robbie, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for coming in. Anytime I get to chat about Meath for the next 15-20 minutes, I'm happy enough.
That's great, yeah, me too.
Well, we are delighted because I suppose it is not always the case that you get to have an inter-county manager to come into studio in season to sit down and have this sort of conversation. Why do you think it is important that maybe managers do things like this?
Yeah, look at it. I suppose maybe some managers aren't up for that and they're maybe keep things closed away. But like we've no secret side really in what we do or what we're about. So yeah, I think look, the more you can try and promote the game and what the Meath lads are doing, the better, you know.
Do you enjoy the media side of things?
Some of it, you know. Once it's easy stuff, I do. Any of the hard stuff, maybe not. But yeah, it's not something I obviously grew up with or anything like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're thrown in when you get those jobs. You have to just get used to doing them. So no, happy enough to do it. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I thought it might be nice for people at home to paint the picture just about you yourself and growing up. So you obviously had a big Meath influence in your life, in your family life, with your dad Patrick.
Yeah.
And for yourself, you grew up as a Dublin man, but going to Meath games, what was that like?
Yeah, it was tricky. Definitely one of those unique ones, you know. I suppose a bit like the soccer. If your dad's a Liverpool supporter, you'll be a Liverpool supporter, and that was it with Dad. He was a Meath fanatic, and for as long as I can remember, it was just going to Meath games and. I didn't know any different. I just never went to a Dublin game. Like that's the reality.
That was a good time to be going to the Meath game.
It was, yeah. Although there was some heartache in the early '80s, and I always reference the Centenary Cup in '84, being at that, and you know, being lifted over the turnstiles here as a kid. Not that many will remember those days, but so yeah, that's all I ever knew. And even though I was in Kilkenny all my life and playing my football there, etc., I was 100% a Meath fan and Meath supporter, and there'd be days going back to Kilkenny bawling my eyes out as a kid when they've lost and stuff like that. So I never knew any difference. So to me, it's just normal, but I suppose to other people it might seem a bit strange.
What was that like growing up then for your friends and I suppose the lads you're playing football with, and here you are as a Meath supporter? Was that weird for them?
Yeah, probably a little bit, yeah. Particularly like the likes of Johnny McGee would he burst into the team playing for Dublin, and Cosy and some Ray Cosgrove and stuff like that. It was because you obviously want the best for them when they're playing, but if it was up against Meath, that would be I still their heart would be shouting for Meath. So it was a bit strange, but again, they were so used to it from an early age as a kid. I suppose they just got on with it, you know.
Brilliant. So what was it like then for your dad when you were named the Meath manager? Yeah,
it was massive. Like, you know, we lost him there just at the tail end of last year, but he was still well enough to be able to recognise that. He was worried. He was genuinely worried because I don't think he was as confident maybe as I was, the ability of the lads and where they could get to. So he was worried more for me that maybe it mightn't go so well. But no, it was like ultimate pride. As I say, he is Meath, or was Meath,
yeah.
Meath fanatic, absolute true and his whole family were, and his brothers, etc. So yeah, a very proud moment for him. And like Mam's a dub, but she was also yeah. very proud as well. So she's been similar to me. She's had to nearly turn into a Meath supporter down through the years. So
she's no choice.
She's no choice. No.
So was it always the ambition then to manage Meath?
To be honest, actually, it probably wasn't. Like it wasn't there as a kid. It would have been to play
yeah.
for them, which would never have worked. Obviously, playing my time in Dublin, but. No, I kind of fell into management really from the club I was playing. I'd transferred down to Dunboyne at that stage, and I kind of was still hoping to play. And the new manager said, "Well, you might be a player selector." And I knew at that stage my playing days were gone. So Deck Mahon was his name. He'd come in, and so yeah. And then I just Deck left, and I just ended up doing it, and. Never dreamt I'd ever get back to Kilmacud as a manager, probably stuff like that. And then,
yeah.
you know, obviously had some good times out back in Kilmacud. And once the opportunity came, then it certainly was on my agenda then, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
But, not something I ever would have thought of. Like, I grew up idolising the likes of Sean Boylan, and you couldn't dream in your wildest dreams you'd get to sit in the same hot seat that he did, you know.
And a great Dunboyne man as well, so I'm sure you learned a lot from him.
Yeah, I was up in his house the other day. I often go up or have a call with Sean, so you go up and plan to spend a half an hour and you could be 3.5 hours there,
yeah.
you know, but it's always brilliant conversation and a brilliant football man, and brilliant to be able to bounce stuff off him still, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at last year, and I suppose the pride that's been put back into the Meath jersey, I know even myself from going to the games with my nieces, nephews, my whole family, experiences that we've never had as a family. It's amazing to have. What was that like for you to see that pride within the county and the lift that it was given to the county as well? We're just looking at this amazing video that was put together just of the whole summer, and it would give you goosebumps to watch it back. What was it like for the team?
Yeah, we had that. We actually showed that to the lads the night before it came out, just to remind them of what we'd done, I suppose. And I always say, ultimately, although I'm in that manager's hot seat, like, I'm still just a fan, and at times I have to kind of switch myself out of that and come down from the stands and actually do my job. But so that's not lost on me, that kind of feeling. There's a bit of jealousy. Some of the Duboyne lads I'd meet on the pitch after some of the big wins last year, and you'd be jealous that you're not up in the stand watching it and heading off to the pub to celebrate it afterwards. But no, and the lads are very much aware of what they created, not us, what they created, and I suppose we'll be trying to replicate that then for this season.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well they embrace that, and that's something they hopefully get used to. Seeing the crowds, I think in the Leinster final in particular, it was a real moment, and unfortunately came up short against Louth that day. What was it like in the dressing room at that point to see the disappointment, and how did you not let that game define your season?
Yeah, it was tricky, and we'd obviously had a disappointing day in the last round of the league and in Inniskeen, when there was obviously an opportunity to go up to Division 1. So we'd had that bit of hurt already, and I suppose you were hoping that wouldn't come again in the Leinster final. But and look, fair play to Louth, they were the better team on the day and absolutely deserved it. So there was a little bit of definitely soul searching going on. I suppose the great thing was we hadn't got time, and we literally said to the lads, we've no choice here. Like, we can't build all that momentum and just let it fade away now because of, unfortunately, because of a poor result. So we've no choice. We literally had no choice. We got to train on the next Tuesday, I think it was, and we were right back at it. Took a couple of the older lads, maybe, a couple more sessions before they got themselves right back into it, which is completely understandable. But I suppose that's the great benefit we have of the youth and the bit older lads. They kind of bounce off each other and pick each other up at different times. So I kind of knew coming into that first round that we'd be okay then,
Yeah. And going on then to an All-Ireland semi-final, do you think those big games, having those big experiences, has really helped the players? Like, even when they were walking in this season, did they look a little bit different coming in, that they've had those experiences? Yeah,
I think so. Like, I still get a huge buzz, when you get on the team bus and you're heading into Croker, whether it's for the league games that we had there recently or certainly those bigger days. So I think the more you do that, the better it is. It might lose a little bit of its wow factor as it goes on. But lads were comfortable coming in here for the first round against Derry there a couple of weeks ago. So as I say, you can't be in here enough,
Yeah. As a manager then, what would you say your style is, and what makes a good manager in your eyes?
Look, there's probably a million different styles, and I've luckily played under some great ones like Robbie Kelleher and Tommy Lyons, etc. back in my own days, and would have looked at a lot of what Sean did. Obviously, I thought Andy Mack did a brilliant job. As you know, Colin was a hero of mine when I was growing up as a kid. So you look at all these different things. I think massive fan of Jim McGuinness and the way Jim goes about things as well. So you're always trying to take little bits from everybody. Mine's probably style's a little bit different. I don't go down that military kind of shouting and roaring and meticulous stuff. It's more just trying to get a bit of belief into the lads and giving them that freedom to really take the ownership themselves.
Yeah, so they can get the best out of themselves.
Yeah, ultimately that's it, because they're the ones playing. It's not us,
Yeah.
So.
Well, looking at, I suppose, last year, new rules all came in, and I remember after one of the interviews, you did come out and say, this isn't Gaelic football, there's been loads of tweaks and changes since. How do you feel now about the new rules? Yeah,
look, at the time, that was definitely, I think that was mainly a frustration around how much it was changing from week to week. It was really the coaches I felt for more so than myself. They were having to come up with something different. As it felt like different every other week, so, and the players. But look, it's settled, I think, into a magnificent product now, and I don't think you could help but go to any game now, no matter what it is, and enjoy it. Like, there's no real, I haven't seen a bad game since it's settled, So I made a joke saying we obviously went up to watch Derry and Donegal before in the McKenna Cup, and you would never have done that, a few years ago, because probably going to be a drab old affair, and it was, it was a brilliant game. So I think no matter where you go, you're going to get a good spectacle. Yeah,
I think so. I think everyone's really enjoying it. You never know what's going to happen. No. It goes right to the wire, which is nice to see from a spectator point of view anyway. Yeah. But looking at the league then, obviously 2 wins from 2, Derry and Cavan, big win against Derry here to kick it all off. What learnings do you think you took from that game into the Cavan performance?
Yeah, look, we take each game on its own merits, obviously, but the Derry game was huge for us here, the first game, and obviously it's a so-called home match for us. Horrible.
You're getting used to Croke Park.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a plus in that for sure. But it was a horrible evening. Obviously not as big a crowd as maybe the lads would have been used to during the summer for some of the bigger days. So took a little bit of getting used to, but it was massive to be able to win, a tight game like that, and. I think that gave us a bit of confidence. We knew going into Cavan it was going to be very tight. We'd obviously seen them against Cork, which obviously went down the wire as well. So we kind of planned that might actually be the case, and we felt the learnings from the last 5-10 minutes against Derry might stand us in good stead against Cavan, and thankfully that's how it turned out.
They did. And just on Croke Park, actually, why did you choose Croke Park? And do you think having those experiences now really stand to the players, and maybe later in the championship too? Yeah,
look, there's definitely no doubt about that. As Owen always says, if you're going to win something, it'll be in Croke Park. That's the reality. As our captain, it's something he often references. So no harm being here. Obviously, we'd rather be in Park Dalton. That's the reality. But
it's on the way.
Yeah, listen, time waits for nobody, and it needed doing. So, and I think it'll be amazing. The amount of work that's gone in there from the committees to make that happen has been huge. So from a county perspective, it's very exciting to be looking forward to that. But at the minute, this is home, and we just have to get used to that. And obviously, we're home here to Louth next week, and it's something we're looking forward to.
I know, Croke Park, not a bad place to be.
No.
Well, go back to the Cavan game then. The finish was something else, just like we were talking about with the rules and how it can really influence a game, and your celebrations after as well. Jose Mourinho, we're just having a look here at the game, and I suppose the difference there as well. Jordan Morris, what a player, and he keeps doing it. There's the Jose Mourinho.
I suppose if I could an e-slide, I would have gone up the. Yeah, that's one of our. That's a family member in case anybody thinks I'm just throwing children around. So the lads would often be at a lot of our matches, the guys here. So and they'd come to some of our training. So
that's class.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and that's, I suppose, again, I do have to check myself sometimes. That's just the supporter in me, kind of. Jumping and shouting more so than anything else. But it was a huge win for us. That's the reality. Your local rivals, and to do it with literally nearly the last kick of the game is, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it, I think.
And it's, I think, nice to see those celebrations. Sometimes you see managers on the sideline, and each their own, but some are maybe a bit more poker face and don't like to show emotion. While you do show that emotion, you show that celebration. But do you think that's important as well, to be yourself?
I think so. I do say to the lads, we kind of have to show our own vulnerabilities and put it all out there, and all the good and the bad, and we encourage everybody to do that, and myself included, and the rest of the management. So I don't think that's me. If I was in the stands, I was back at a Kilmacud game last year for the championship, and I was back being the fan and shouting and roaring and doing all that. So I'm not going to change that just because I'm on the sideline. I try and make sure I'm doing my job when I'm down there, but when the whistle goes, then I nearly just switch back into fan mode,
You're dead right. Well, the 2 pointers came into action, especially in that game again. And I think something about Meath is that you have not one, not two, but many players that can take the 2 pointers. Yeah. And I suppose that has to come from the sideline too, where they're feeling the confidence, feeling the trust on the sideline that I can go for these shots. Is that important to you?
Yeah, huge. We again, part of that overall kind of belief piece we try and make sure the lads have. It's the freedom to go and play. Where they're all good footballers because they're playing for Meath, so they have to be good players. So bar the odd corner back coming up like everybody else is nearly allowed to take it on. If they think it's the right option, we encourage them to do it, and the twos have become a massive part of the game, as we probably thought they would. I think you'll see it improve again this season with more teams going after it. So it's an area we have to make sure we're still doing, and the more guys we have that can kick twos, the better,
Yeah, and Jack Flynn, he's obviously a club mate of mine. Have to mention him. But the fact that last year he was out injured and he missed a lot of that, and that must have been very disappointing for him when you've seen the run that Meath went on. Yeah. But he kicked the 2-pointer at the end there against Cavan, and he's really stepping up as well this season.
Yeah, obviously the brilliant day out against Derry, and that can bring a bit of expectation in for the next day, and I don't know whether he felt that, but Jack being Jack, I knew once Geordie had made the little kind of dummy run, I knew Jack was going to take it on, and he has a phenomenal strike as a ball, as you've probably seen with the club, whether it's off the ground, out of his hands. He's technically, for such a big guy and a powerful athlete, he's technically very, very good as well. So Jack is definitely one of those guys. If he wants to take it on, we let him go for it,
And Sean Rafferty as well. I'm sure you don't like pinpointing players, but the fact that he won the All-Star. We've been waiting for an All-Star Meath for a long time. Stephen Bray. Yeah. Don't forget Stephen Bray. That was the last one, but it had been 18 years since the last one. And for Sean to have that moment, I'll never forget that video of his family. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. But the lift that even gives, and what a season he's had. Did you know at the start of the season, when he came into training, could you see it in him that he was going to have as big a year as he did?
Well, he was actually injured when he came in, actually, originally. So he was coming back from bad knee injury. So
that's right.
Yeah, yes. So we didn't get much of a look at him, really, to be honest. And listen, I let him tell the story eventually, but he was probably a little bit doubting whether what might happen that year for him or not. And we went up and we played a challenge game against Galway, and he was just kind of starting to come back, and he came on in that game and was brilliant and didn't look back. But Yeah, like Breyer being the last one, I think it's there's something about Meath having a full back like that, bound through the obviously Fraser or Mick Lyons, that kind of stuff, so for Sean to be the All-Star.
There's been a lot of good ones.
Yeah, in that position I think was great as well, and absolutely delighted for him. And yeah, the video was exceptional, and that's ultimately what it's about, isn't it? The family,
yeah. For you then, who were the best Meath players like that you, was it always Colin O'Rourke, that sort of?
Colin was my one, yeah, that was a thing, and I used to love Jerry Mack as well, and then it turned into John Mack in the middle, and bit of Jinxie Beggy for the madness, and so there were so many of them. Graham, Trevor, I adored watching Trevor play, but we were so lucky down through the years.
I know.
I think the current crop could be heading that way too,
I know. I think growing up for me, it was always Graham, it was Trevor, Ollie Murphy.
Ollie, of course.
Ollie coming off the bench, you couldn't beat it.
Yeah, some brilliant players.
Well, you have obviously this weekend off. Well, we say off. What happens this weekend now for you? Is obviously, do you still train away, I'm imagining?
Yeah, no, we do. So it was a busy enough week. So Tuesday we got in and we'd our analysis again, and we also did development games. So everybody was in on Tuesday. Last night trained in the lashings of rain. Unfortunately, we managed to get onto the Astro. Tomorrow we have a training camp, so we have a full day there. So no, it's not. I laugh when people say you're off. I'm like, are we? No, it's not off. So it's nearly busier, and but really it's the only gap you get to do that kind of work. So a lot of video work on in this week and next week in prep for Louth.
Yeah, so Louth next week.
Yeah.
So will you be looking to settle a score after the Leinster final?
Look, the only way to settle a score like that is to go back and win a Leinster. That's the reality. Like a league win wouldn't fix that. What we always say to lads is something I learned from the Kilmacud days and Leinster finals and stuff when we lost. Like there's no point chasing results that are gone and trying to rectify them. You take the learnings from them, do what you can, and move on. So no, we park that, as I say loud. We're absolutely well deserved winners on the day. So we park it, and it'll all just be about focus and trying to get the 2 points next week.
Good stuff. And overall then, what is the ambition for Meath this year?
Yeah, I think people get laughed. Some of the local journalists nearly answer the question for me when I get asked that. It's like, I'll tell you the answer. It's the next session. But that's the way it has to be. Like, obviously we'd love to be winning as much as we possibly can, and I think the main thing for us is building on that momentum and keeping that kind of good feel factor through the county. I was down in Kells the other night, Wednesday night, doing a presentation in one of the schools, and like the kids are bouncing. It's bouncing. Different. It is different.
Yeah.
And again, that makes me think back to when I was a kid. That's what I had, and like you want that to continue. You're not going to win every game. We know that, right? And obviously there's the top 2 or 3 or 4 at the top of the food chain, and we're chasing all of that. But I think to keep that feel-good factor to the county would be huge for us,
And you must feel very proud that is happening under your watch. What is your ambition overall as Meath manager in years to come, whatever it is, however long you stay in the job?
Yeah.
What do you want to achieve?
Well, it'd be great if we could have a statue like Sean's up at the castle there in the hotel, or
amazing.
As someone slagged, it's more likely to have a statue outside McCarry's, maybe the chipper for me than the hotel. But no, look, I mean, ultimately, when my time is up, if I've left Meath and as a team and as a county in a better place, I think that'll be enough for me, because as soon as I hand that over, I'll be right back up into the stand screaming and shouting, and I want that to be a good time for Meath football. So if there's victories in between all of that, fantastic,
You're enjoying it anyway?
I love it. It literally is my life, It is Monday to Sunday, 7 to 7, 24/7 hours. So I just keep at it, and I wouldn't know what to do without it, to be honest with you.
Brilliant, Robbie. Well, we really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. The best of luck now with the rest of the league and the championship to come.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Wow, well, what a way to start the show. We are going to turn our attention now to hurling, because it is a big one this weekend. Yes, it is a repeat of last year's All-Ireland hurling final.
So this is it. Between Cork and Tipperary, they have 97 Munster hurling titles, 58 All-Ireland titles. Hello, passion and pride. This is the battle of the superheroes in the game of hurling, and the All-Ireland hurling final is on. It's the first All-Ireland final ever between the Rebels and the Premier County. A rocket past Collins. Brilliantly scored by Darren McCarthy. Sean McGrath, his second goal. This is incredible. Everything is flowing for Tipperary. And the people of Tipperary are beginning to cry with joy. They won their first All-Ireland in 1887. They lost in 2019. The wait is over. Tipperary are All-Ireland champion 2025.
Yes, what a game it will be down in Super Value Park Equive tomorrow evening. Ben O'Connor's Cork against All-Ireland champions Tipperary. And the other games in 1A this weekend take place on Sunday when Waterford take on Offaly and Limerick face Kilkenny. Then in 1B, Wexford take on Carlow, that's tomorrow night, and on Sunday it's Clare against Down. And a massive game in Newbridge as Kildare and Antrim both look for their first win. In Division 2 then, Kerry take on London, Derry host Mayo, and a local derby sees Westmeath face Meath. And then 3 more fixtures in Division 3, Armagh versus Roscommon, Tyrone Wicklow and Fermanagh against Louth. And then finally, Division 4, Sligo, they host Lancashire, you've Monaghan against Longford and Warwickshire and Leitrim. So loads of games in there to look forward to this weekend, and I think there's only one place to start. Well, we do have in studio with me to go through the main talking points. It is Podge Collins and Bubbles O'Dwyer. A big game this weekend, only one place to start, Cork and Tip. How are you feeling for it, Bubbles?
Yeah, I suppose both teams have made a good start to the league campaign after last year's championship. From a Tip point of view, you'd be looking forward to it. The last time Tip were down there was the league final, and they took a bit of a hammer on that day. And then, obviously, the championship then another one, and then they overturned them then the All-Ireland final. So I think Tip will be looking forward to it. The team came out this morning, strong team. So I'm not going to say that Liam Cahill will be targeting this game, but he'll be looking for his players to step up and go for it against Cork and not, I suppose, continue the trend that has been over the last couple of years that Cork have been beating Tip, apart from that most important one, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, talking about the team then, the starting team, because we did wonder what way the managers are going to go about this game. Just looking at the starting team for Tip, is there any changes in there? Anything that surprised you?
I don't know about surprising. I suppose the big one is probably Cathal O'Reilly coming in and staying in, I suppose. And I suppose I won't be surprised. I haven't seen the Cork team yet, but Brian Hayes inside corner forward, full forward. Are Tip going to leave Cathal O'Reilly, mark Brian Hayes? No, Brian Hayes 6'5", Cathal O'Reilly 5'8" or 9. So that'll be interesting. But it's a really strong team for Tip and a big strong bench as well. So it will be interesting. We haven't seen the Cork team yet, but not surprised by anyone in there. I suppose it's good to see Cahill getting another run, Josh Keller getting another run, and trying to I suppose get more minutes into them lads in the league in the hope that they'll be prepared for championship if needed.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Cork as well. How's Ben O'Connor going to approach this, Podge? He did say that he wanted to get time into other players, and now is the time to do it. But you're also coming up against Tip. You know that this is a game that you probably need to win for that feel-good factor from what happened in the summer.
Yeah, well, it's nearly a no-win for Cork, because if they win and it's a really heated game, you can be sure that the Tip lads will be going off the field after a loss being like, listen, we've 2 wins and we won the All-Ireland last year and we'll see you in the Munster Championship. And do you know what, and that's the feeling I have about it all week, and I don't know what you think of that, Bubbles.
That's the way I'd be thinking. If Tipperary lose, I don't think they'll be overly worried. I think Cork are going to go for it, but like Podge said, like Tip won the All-Ireland last year. Like, our Cork going to be down there coming out all guns blazing. I don't think Tip will be overly worried because, as I said, they're after winning the big one and the Munster Championship is where it matters. Tip are probably safe as it is after winning 2 games. You'd be thinking that they probably will get another one. And I think Liam Cahill just be looking for the way that his players approach the game, and Ben O'Connor then will be hoping that his players come out all guns blazing. But I think Tip then, I don't think they'll mind what way Cork kind of approach the game.
And the fact that they meet each other in the first round of Munster as well, does that play a part?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Like, every player involved in this championship will have one eye now on those fixtures that were just announced this morning. It's inevitable, like, because even though you're kind of trying to take a game at a time, the Munster Championship is where it's at, and both of these teams have 4 points on the board, and that does give you a nice level of comfort. Now, there's 40,000 tickets sold for this game.
Incredible.
Below in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it's going to be rocking. There's going to be a great atmosphere, and hopefully the players do bring it. And from a spectator's point of view, I hope it is a brilliant outing. And in fairness, so far in the first 2 games, like Tipperary against Galway, probably it was 50-50, I'd say, like up to that goal, and then the questionable build-up play, like where there was a couple of throws maybe thrown in there for the goal chance. Like, these games are close. Cork gave Waterford a right beating, went up to Galway. We're up against it. Galway will be kicking themselves after that game last weekend. Now, Cork gritted the teeth and got a win in tough conditions, and fair play to them. But no, I'm really looking forward to the game. But like I said, I do think that Tipperary, regardless of the result, and they've named a strong team, they won't be too fussed on this one.
But I think Ben O'Connor's comments last week are going to be really interesting, because I think he was saying them comments last week in the lead up to this game in the hope that whoever is refereeing the game, that he lets things go, because it is going to be tough. It is going to be hard. And I do think Cork are going to come out and go for Tipperary. Not in a nasty way or anything like that, but I think they're going to be really physical. And I think Ben O'Connor was saying them last week in the hope that the ref will let it go. But if I was going out to this match now on Saturday and a Cork fella, the cornerback, came to me and started hopping off me, like, there's only one word the Tip lads can say to him, like, you know. So I think it might be a bold move by Ben O'Connor to let his players go out and go for Tipperary instead of holding a small bit back for the first round of the Munster Championship.
So Ben was basically saying that we don't want to be losing the physicality in the game and we don't want to be going on like soccer players. There was something along the lines of that. Is there more of an edge since he's came in to Cork? I know it's early on, but can we see a little bit more of that in them now?
Yeah, listen, they lost to Clare 2 years ago in the Ireland final. A lot of these players were involved. They lost last year badly to Tipperary, and they were the form team of the championship last year. Now, Tipperary, in fairness, like Andy Orman, Jake Morris, really stepped up last year and really showed what they're capable of and became men, I'd say, last year. And, like, fair play to Tipperary, they won in All-Ireland, they deserved to win. But Cork come back into training this off-season after on the back of losing 2 All-Irelands. Like, even regardless of Ben, they were going to have the bit between their teeth. I think Ben has just added probably a certain edge to them as well. And fair play to them. And they're going to want to win every game. And winning is a habit. You look at that Dublin team that won 6 All-Irelands. The amount of them they won by a point, those games that they won by a point, getting over the line, because they're just so used to winning. They have that mentality. Ben wants to instill that in the group. And that's why it is important for Cork this weekend. I'm nearly contradicting myself. But Tipperary, I'd say, still won't mind. But it's going to be a good game.
You would have seen the edge that the Cork under-20s would have brought while Ben was over him.
True.
Like, that All-Ireland final inside in Thurles against Offaly. Like, Offaly, a lot of them were just out of under-17. They were very young. But Cork came and the physicality they used, like, you know, he is going to want to bring that through. But I would say, depending on the team, like, it is going to be interesting what kind of a team he sets up with. Like, I would think that they are going to hold a small bit back. That they'll go out and they'll hurl and they'll try and put on a show and they'll try and win the game, clearly, like both teams will. But Ben O'Connor is targeting the first round of the Munster Championship to lay down a marker against Tipperary and Thurles.
And if you look at their squad, like, they have strength and depth, especially, I think, up front. If you're a Cork player, Podge, are you looking to lay down a marker now, personally, at this point, even though it's early on in the season, is now the time to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it can be very fickle, like sport. You can come into a team, like Dave, Diarmid Healy, Alan Walsh, Decky Dalton, Alan Connolly, Brian Hayes. Like, the amount of players they have, Jack Lee there watching him with UL the other day, the amount of players they have fighting for forwards positions is incredible. The talent they have is unreal. Any time they go onto the field, in training, in the gym, in recovery, the championship is like where everyone else sees it. But they are trying to impress that management constantly. And whatever team Ben names this weekend, if he doesn't name, let's say, full strength, if he doesn't name full strength, whatever it is, whoever's on that field will be giving their absolute most to ensure that they put their hand up to grab a jersey. Because they all want, like, at the end of the day, when you play sport, you want to play. You want to be on that starting team. You want to be named. And I know from being involved in teams, just every player wants to play. But yeah.
And when you get your chance, you have to take it. So for some of these players that we might see this weekend, Ben has alluded that he might change it up a little bit this weekend, that they get that chance in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, you know, with the fans there. Overall, Bubbles, for you, what has really impressed you about Cork so far?
Yeah, I suppose, look, it would have been... you would have always expected Cork to come in the first couple of rounds of the league with that bit between their teeth because of the way the All-Ireland final went last year. I suppose he's added in a couple of players. Darragh O'Leary, full-back, you know, he was brilliant for him at under-20 level. You know, he's adding in, but I suppose that little bit of an edge, like last week, once or twice they could have overstepped the mark, but then at half-time, then a small little bit of a scuffle. Like, that's what Cork are going to need. And like, I'm not saying that's going to win them in All-Ireland, but that's the little bit of aggressiveness that Ben O'Connor is looking for to maybe bring him to that next level. Like, clearly they're already there. They probably have the strongest panel in the country.
Yeah.
It's just about, can they get over on the big day? Like, they've had a lot of disappointments in the last maybe 5 or 6 years for a lot of them players. Like losing to Clare and then last year then taking the beating that they did against Tipperary. Like, it's how they're going to turn around their mentality. And by the first 2 rounds of the league, they've done that. Now, this weekend is a totally different ball game completely, because they would have been expected to win them 2 games. Now it's coming up against a team now that embarrassed you not too long ago.
Yeah.
So what way are they going to approach this game? And I think they'll go with a slightly weakened team myself, just in not to be going full hog at this early stage, because the way it's going, these teams might end up meeting in the league final again. You know, and that'll be up in Thurles. That might be another time to to put a marker down. But again, that's only 2 or 3 weeks before the first round of the championship. So it's a hard one to call from both teams. I think Ben O'Connor wants to lay down a marker, Liam Cahill wants to lay down a marker, but Liam Cahill will be happier if they don't come out with a win.
Feels like there's more on the line for Cork, just because of last year as well. And I think we're still learning about them under Ben O'Connor, obviously against Waterford. It was an easier day out than Galway. He probably learned a lot more about that squad that day.
Yeah, and like you could tell that day in Galway that this Cork team were like, we're not going to be bullied. That was the vibe I was getting, and they probably stepped over the mark a bit. Like there was probably a potential like red card thrown in there, with like reckless use of the hurley. That wasn't picked up. So they're playing on the edge, and I suppose it's the time of year that you can get away with playing on the edge, because if you do that in a Munster Championship and you get a red card, you're suspended for the next game. Like, it's very costly. So they're trying to lay down a marker at the moment, but I suppose you kind of get that balance right where you're not risking, I suppose, red cards, because like referees analyse games and they look back on that and they'll be like, oh, maybe that was a red card there. And next week when it happens, it'll be straight to the book, straight to the red card, and those kind of decisions mightn't go their way.
Well, from a tip point of view then as well, Bubbles, 2 wins from 2. What's impressed you overall with them?
I just think the way that they're playing together as a unit, like I seen them in a couple of Munster League games and a couple of pre-season games and challenge games and stuff, and they're all just playing off the same hymn sheet. Like, if you would have said that 18 months ago, like you probably would have scoffed at the idea that Tip would be this good in such a short period of time from where they were, say, after the 2024 championship. But the way that they're all playing, everyone is playing together, playing as a team. Like, Robert Dial at full back, I know he went off injured in the first game, but like in a couple of Munster League games, like, goalkeeper takes a puck out, like, he's full back, he's tearing off to try and get a pass off the shoulder from a centre back or a wing back. Like, they're playing with absolute abandonment, and the weight that's after being lifted off their shoulders now after getting that All-Ireland win, like, a lot of them would have had a senior All-Ireland, but I would say 95% of that team now, or that panel, have minor, under 20 or 21 and senior All-Ireland medals, and they're just playing with absolute freedom, and they're just going for absolutely everything. Like Jake Morris again, the first day against Galway, I know he didn't play last week, like, vice captain, all-star, in running for hurler of the year, first day out in the league, and he absolutely flying it, like, got to a county final with his club as well, so he's had very little break. Like, they're all just playing for each other, and they just seem like a really tight unit. And then adding in then the extra couple of players, the likes of your Cahill O'Reilly, 18 years of age, Josh Keller, Gerard O'Connor came back the last day, Jason Ford, the elder statesman, I suppose, coming in, like, really, really fresh. So it looks like that they're just really enjoying their hurling, and like, they won't go down with a fear on tomorrow night, like, and whether they win or not, again, we've said it plenty of times, I don't think it'll make a difference. Yeah. But they're just playing with absolute carelessness.
That's what I see. It's as if the shackles are off, they're playing with freedom. You have this mix of youth, experience coming off the bench, and I think Jason Ford as well. We didn't really talk about him much yet, but like 3-10 he scored against Offaly, and we sort of glossed over it a little bit, but not bad.
No, Bubbles said he's the second best wrist in Tip after him.
After him?
Yeah.
After Noel, is it?
No, like, listen, Jason, I was in college with him and played with him for a year, and it was a joy to play with him. His touches are just incredible. His control in training and in matches, I just couldn't get over when I played him. When you see it up close, it's really impressive. But he's 32 years of age. He got into sports. He got into strength and conditioning in his late 20s.
Years ago, yeah.
And it's really stood to him. Like, you can just tell his composition of his body. He's gotten much firmer, much more robust. He's stronger. He's able to carry himself better on the field. And then he always had the wrist. So now he's just able to create a bit more space for himself, hold off defenders a bit more. I would kind of, like, there's a bit of a caveat, like, let's say the Galway game, whatever. Jason was unbelievable at the weekend. Offaly rested a lot of their Fitzgibbon players, who are while they're their younger players, they're nearly their main players. So that game at the weekend, listen, Jason's performance, unbelievable, 3-10, ridiculous. I've spent a couple of championships, I haven't scored 3-10, so fair play to him. But I suppose I would say, like, this weekend now against Cork is just a different test, and we're going to see where Tip are at and where Cork are at, I think, really this weekend. Like, with regards to, I don't take much from, let's say, the Waterford game, the first game of the champ. I don't take much from that from Cork's point of view. I think the Offaly game last weekend, I wouldn't take much of it. So I think this weekend will just be a good test of where both teams are at.
I think that's what both managers are looking for. So, like, Ben O'Connor is obviously going to throw in a few new players, test them in the cauldron of Páirc Uí Chaoimh, 40,000 people there, and then Liam Cahill, leaving Cahill O'Reilly in. putting in Josh Keller, if they can stand up to 35 minutes of this, like, I know that they can be used come championship. That's what both managers are probably going to be looking for. Result doesn't really matter for both. It's probably more important for Cork, but it's finding them extra few players come championship. I know if I turn around and I look at X, Y or Z, that I know that he can be called upon in the championship.
But before I get your prediction then, we were talking about 310 from Jason Ford. What did you score? What's your most you've ever scored in a game, Bubbles? I'll come to you first. You're going to tell me about 10-10 or something.
No, I... Actually, speaking to Robbie outside, I think I scored 3-12 against Meath in a minor challenge back a long time ago now. I think that could be the most I ever scored. Or in a minor Munster semi-final against Cork, I think I scored 4-11, something like that.
Wow. Not bad.
That's obviously freeze as well.
Yeah.
Conor Lahan was playing the same day. It was actually a replay. We drew down in Parky Queeve or Parky Ring, and then had the replay in Thurles, and yeah, we won. Yeah, so that yeah.
Very
hard
good.
to remember though.
Yeah.
What's yours? A pint or two?
Yeah. I'd say like 1, 3 or 4 hurling or football.
Yeah.
Would be the most I've ever scored in the game. Yeah. Wouldn't be hitting freeze though. Like I know.
Well, there you go.
I wouldn't
From play,
hide
take
behind
that
the freeze.
ahead of that, Podge. So who's going to win?
I think Cork will win this weekend. As we've said, like it's more important for Cork. I think Tip will go down, especially after seeing the team with a lot. I just think everything that's riding on Cork, and I suppose the pressure that's coming with them, I do think Cork will win. It'll be a close game. It'll be a tough, hard game, but I think Cork will come out just about winners.
For you, Podge?
Yeah, I think Cork.
Yeah.
I fancy Cork to win this weekend. Yeah, just down in Parky Queeve. They've put in a hard pre-season. I know it's early in the year, but I think Ben really wants to instill a winning culture into this group, and they're going to target this game to try win it.
Okay, yeah, big clash this weekend. Another big clash is Limerick and Kilkenny. It is Limerick that are going to be hosting Kilkenny in the Gaelic grounds. We're looking forward to this one because I think at this point we're not sure where Limerick are at. Did the performance against Waterford surprise you at all, Bubbles?
I don't think it surprised me. Like it's their first competitive game of the year. They had a strong team out. So they were probably a bit ring rusty. John Kiley came out kind of saying that they were outfought and that. I don't think they were. I just think they just didn't hurl as well as they could. But I don't think he'd be overly disappointed. I think he was just kind of throwing a message to these players that, you need to be at 10 out of 10 every day. You go out and play for Limerick. But we're saying that we don't know where Limerick is at. We don't know where Kilkenny are at either. Like they've had a game against Offaly. They were off, and then they're missing a good few players. Like so, that is an interesting one. I do think Limerick. I wouldn't be overly worried about their performance last week. Waterford deserved to win the game, but Limerick aren't gone too far away, and I'd expect a huge performance from this weekend. Last
week, Pod, we were talking about Limerick, and you were saying that other counties, should be wary and afraid of this Limerick team coming, that they're going to want to get back to their best. Do they not need to feel that winning feeling? Like that Waterford game was probably ideal to try and get that first victory, to feel that again within the group. Yeah,
like I would say that game against Waterford last week, it really hinged on very small moments. Like John came out after the game and you got to respect that, came out and said, listen, Waterford probably outfought us in the breakdown, and they probably did. But it's 11-10 and Groat Hegarty's strolling through, flicks the ball to Donnacha O'Donnell, goes out over the end line. If that goes to hand, it's a goal. The result was 2 plays later, a black card for Matthew Fitz and a goal, questionable black card and questionable free, and a goal, so a 6-point swing. So that game really hinged on nothing for me, and Limerick playing at home this weekend, they probably do need to bounce back. But Limerick unfortunately have suffered big injuries early in the year. Adam English went off in that game, Cathal O'Neill out, a few other players that are missing as well. Just they're probably suffering the most. They're key players, young players. Yeah. Because maybe of Fitzgibbon, the amount of load that's on the younger players, which is tough this time of year, and I do think it's something that does need to be looked at. So, yeah, they have a couple of injuries, but I don't think they're going to worry about last week like that. They'll analyse everything that went on in that game. Probably could have increased their work rate a small bit. I don't think it was as bad as John made out after, and I think they will bounce back. I do fancy Limerick to win at the weekend.
He's probably looking for a reaction as well from his players.
But I suppose he's looking for a reaction. He was probably looking for a reaction last week as well, because the last game that they played competitively, they went down badly against Dublin. So he was probably looking for a reaction last week, didn't get it. Now they're at home against Kilkenny. As we said, we don't know where Kilkenny are at either. You would be expecting a big performance, but that's easier said than done. I do think John Kiley wants to target the league, and I do think that he'd want to like create a winning culture and get back to winning ways and winning trophies. But again, like I do think Limerick are going to be targeting the Munster Championship as well, along with if they can get to a league final, great, and they'll try and win it. But I don't think he's actually overly worried. I think he's only coming out saying that, and in-house they're just preparing and preparing and preparing. And like we've seen it for years, like some days Limerick come out and they're really leggy and really lethargic, and then a week later then they're
Different team.
Yeah, they're absolute animals, like, you know. So I wouldn't be worried. I'm like Podge, I do expect Limerick to come and win, and maybe win comfortably enough this weekend. But again, as Podge said, like missing then a couple of players. I think Shane O'Brien is out injured now as well. But they have a lot of young lads coming through. I thought Matthew Fitzgerald last week was absolutely brilliant. He had a great game, and as Podge said, a harsh black card. But they're finding these 1, 2, 3, 4 players that are fitting in to the backbone, I suppose, your 10 or 11 of the backbone of the team. And if they can keep performing, I do think Adam English will be a massive loss, depending on how long he's going to be out. But they have loads of lads to step in there, so I wouldn't be worried from a Limerick point of view.
And there's no better team than Kilkenny than to really get you up for a game. Well, you're looking at it from a Kilkenny point of view, Podge, the players that they're missing as well. That's sort of been the story. They had 4 debutants against Offaly and Hugh Lawler. He is a massive miss. Yeah, no,
he's like fullback. He's been the most consistent, probably fullback. No, honourable mention to Conor Cleary. Like I think Conor's been brilliant for Clare as well. But Hugh Lawler really.
Dan Morrissey.
Yeah, well, Dan's been wing
here,
back
please.
and full back, and he's been around. And now Dan's brilliant. But no, in fairness to Hugh, like dominating high balls coming in, he's commanded the square for Kilkenny, and he's probably, I'd say he's been Kilkenny's most consistent player over since he's nearly, I'd say, the last 5 years. So to lose him is just huge, especially because he's at an age where he's near enough his peak. So it's big boots to fill, and Kilkenny are just. I don't think they're going to be overly worried about this weekend when you're down so many players. But yeah, like it's tough. Kilkenny last year put a good beating on Limerick below Nolan Park.
17 points, I think it was.
Yeah, 17 points. So I do think that's going to be. I feel like that'll partly play a part in it as well. Limerick will be like, right, we're laying down a marker this year against Kilkenny. Yeah,
could be. And then, as we said, Kilkenny then might be a bit weakened as well. So it is kind of playing into Limerick hands for, say, a complete reversal of that performance last year.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to move on as well to Waterford versus Offaly. That is the final game in 1A. We wanted to touch on Ruben Halloran because what a standout player this lad has been. Made his debut against Cork, and he's just set the Allianz League alight, getting man of the match the last day in 11 points.
Yeah, like just from being involved in the college scene, I was fortunate enough, I suppose, or unfortunate enough to see Ruben quite a bit, like analysing their games and playing against WIT or say to Waterford now a couple of times. He's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant attitude. He's a leader. He's excellent work rate. His striking is probably one of his massive strengths. You cannot give the man space. It's like we'd always, if he was centre forward, you'd have to find someone, either a midfielder drop or a centre back to push up. He's just, he really is clinical. And I just feel like in the league so far, like I saw that Limerick game, his work rate seems to have gone to another level. He looks he looks very, very fit.
Yeah.
So I think he could have a very good year. And I don't know, will he be kept on the freeze for the year? Will Stephen come back? So Stephen,
I'd imagine so. Like it's his first kind of year. Like, he's been around a while, but like he's kind of only breaking through now. The league is a different kettle of fish taking freeze in championship, and if you have Stephen Bennett on the pitch, like you're not going to be giving the freeze to someone else, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have the options in there. Just as a result for Waterford, like what a result that was. You could even see in them, they'd win a free, they celebrated it. It meant a lot to them to get back and to be having those wins.
They were very up for it. Like as you said, like anytime they won a free or they got a good score and like that, they were in Limerick's faces. They were giving it the fist pump. They were hitting little sly shoulders and stuff like this. They were really up for it, and I suppose after their performance against Cork, or their non-performance against Cork, they had to bring something. And like we were speaking about Limerick there, that you said that they were missing a few. Like Waterford still had the Ballygunner contingent to come back, and a few more injuries. Like, you know, and how many of the Ballygunner contingent are going to commit, we probably don't know. Like you probably could have 8, 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah.
But realistically, there probably is only going to be 4 or 5. And will the 4 or 5 start? We don't know. But they're going to be eased back into it. But it was really impressive from Waterford. I sat down and I watched it as well. Just a complete opposite of what was there the week before. Look, they were probably going down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh, hiding to nothing. Cork's first game after losing Ireland final. And then last week, then they really stepped up. And the good thing about it, I thought, was like their real leader, Jamie Barron, wasn't their best player. because 9 times out of 10 Jamie Barron goes out into the field, he's Waterford's best player, and he usually scores 4, 5, 6 points from either midfield or centre forward. Like, he scored a point from play. So it was other players stepping up, which was really good for Peter Queally. I thought their 2 cornerbacks were brilliant. Shane Bennett, very good. Great to see Caleb Lyons back. He played wing forward. He can play anywhere from 5 to 12. So he's another big option. I know Jack Fagan went off, but again, he's back this year. I know Waterford were disappointed against Cork, but they were impressive last week. And again, you have a good 6, 7, 8 players to come back onto that panel.
Yeah, I think they're ones to watch for sure going ahead this season. Well, in 1B then, we're going to move on to Wexford against Carlow. Wexford, we've no team yet, but we could see Leach in. We know he's coming back from an injury, so we'll see. But do they need him back on the pitch? 2 scares they had?
Yeah, look, I do think Lee is top 5 hurlers in the country when he's at his best. He's just such a physical presence. He's such a good hurler. His skill level's so high. He's invaluable to a team like Wexford, especially when there's so many new faces thrown into it this year. You kind of want that elder statesman just surrounding them and kind of leading them on and bringing them on and getting those scores when they need them. So it'll be massive for them. I give Carlow. I think Carlow will win the game this weekend if Lee's not playing. That's
okay. Yeah, they cause an upset, Bubbles. Yeah, same.
Yeah, he's so important to him. Like, even like last year, like, look, they were okay, but without him, they have very little, I suppose, leadership, but physicality. Like, they're a very young team. Like, you see the changes over the last 12, 15 months with that Wexford panel. Like, like, there's over 20 players after dropping out and coming in. Like, so it's huge. And to not have Lee, I suppose, is like, obviously it's disappointing. But then, like, Keith Rossiter is going to learn about his players, because, like, going up to Down last week and scraping by the week before against Antrim. Like, not that it's unheard of for Wexford and Antrim to be a close game, but to see what the players that he has at his disposal are made of, without having to, I suppose, like your Kilkenny's depending on a TJ Reid to win a puck out, or stuff like this. Like, he's going to learn about his players. And again, I'm not sure about Carlow getting a result, but it will be close, because Wexford haven't been impressive in the first 2 rounds of the league at all.
And Carlow have been impressive. Like, I'm going off last season a bit more so, but like, seeing what they did last year and what they potentially could do, so that's maybe a team to watch. Let's move on then to Kildare versus Antrim, a massive game. If Antrim don't win this, they're going to be 0 points from 3 games. So it is a massive game for them to try get scores on the board.
Yeah, it is a huge game, and if I was the Kildare manager or the players, this is probably the game you'd have been targeting from the start, from when the fixtures were announced. Antrim coming down to Cathedral Park, I think they'll be targeting it big time. So Kildare were very poor last week, but they had a great year last year. They're warranted being up in the Leinster Championship and being up in 1B now, and I think they'll be really targeting this weekend for a victory. And I don't think Carlow beat Wexford. I do think Kildare beat Antrim.
Right, you're giving me all the wild cards before the wild card time. Relax.
Didn't know about that.
And finally then, Clare versus Down, Podge. How do you see it going?
Yeah, like, Down, like, I know Down Hurling, they've put a massive effort over the last number of years, and I've been up there myself and seen them in action. They're a good side, and it didn't surprise me last weekend when Wexford, that result, like, the Down were so close. They'll probably be disappointed. I know that the Wexford Antrim game, it's just kind of to get a feel of all the teams in the division, was probably a poor game, but the conditions were poor. It just led to a poor game. It was low scoring. It ended up like a 1 point game, and probably Wexford lucky to get it. So Antrim last weekend losing to Wexford by 2 points, Down losing to Wexford by 2 points. While they'd be disappointed, I do think Clare are just that bit too far ahead. I do think there's going to be a lot of these lopsided fixtures in this league with Clare down there. It's probably something that I feel it needs to be looked at. I think there's just too much of a gap. I do, like, even Clare going up to Antrim last weekend, and I know Antrim have beaten Clare up there in the past, and Antrim can be a very good side, but at the moment they beat them by 14 points last weekend, and I think this will be something similar.
Well, if you're looking at it like that, then where does it stop? Because, like, you would say on last year and this year, like, Dublin are like a lot ahead of the other teams as well. But then if you're going to go as far as Dublin, then you'd be going to Wexford and you'd be like, well, then Wexford shouldn't be down there either. Like, where do you stop? Like, do you and like, this is no disrespect, do you take out the 2 or 3 weaker teams and have 2 groups of 4 of the top 8 teams? Like, it's very hard. I think it actually works well. Teams are getting 6 good games and then a league final. Whereas if you change that up, like...
Well, my only issue with it is when you compare it to the football. Like
Yeah, but
you look.
there's only
What would you
12
like to see to
realistically,
be
there's
done,
only
Podge?
12 teams.
Like I'd probably prefer 2 groups of 4, like
Right,
in the
yeah.
top division. Like that's what I'd prefer. And even if you whatever way you divide the games, but when you look at the football fixtures that come out every weekend, you look at you go through the 4 in Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4, and it's just so hard to pick them apart. There's now listen, someone will scrutinise this and go through. And
Well,
like,
they
look at
will
this hammer.
because like
Do you bring
we're always
teams on
talking.
if you do that though? That's what I always think.
We're always
Teams
talking.
come on.
Yeah, we're always
they
talking about
improve.
developing.
Yeah.
Like the so-called weaker counties. If you do that, and if you have a Champions League style 2 groups of 4, like what are Antrim, Carlow,
Like, I'm not
Westmeath,
saying
like,
not have relegation or promotion.
No, I know that, yeah, but you're still going to have them lopsided games then anyway. You know, I think the way it's working now is working quite well. You have Down and Kildare in Division 1B coming up against 5 traditional strong hurling counties in your Clare, Dublin, Wexford, Antrim, Carlow, I suppose not traditionally, but like Carlow, Kildare and Down coming up against them 4 teams, that is going to bring them on a lot more, maybe not Clare, than playing the other 7 teams that are in Division 1A. Like, there can be upsets made, like, and as you said, like Antrim can turn over teams, Carlow can turn over teams, but I think, especially Kildare and Down, they need a year or 2 to bed in to this kind of intensity and this kind of hurling, whereas they're not going to get it because they're going to be relegated back down to Division 2 next year again. Like if they
No,
don't
there's
come away with
definitely
a win,
points
like, you know, so
to both arguments. I think we're going to bring us back in and we're going to come up with a whole new system. What about that, Podge?
Yeah, no, I just even on the championship side in the football, like I don't know if 2 divisions is enough. Like so,
But like you're saying that Clare, now obviously Clare are much stronger than most, and Dublin the most, but that's Clare's downfall by having such a poor year last year.
Yeah,
you know, so like obviously they were coming in as All-Ireland champions, they were missing players, they got relegated, probably trying to target the championship and then failed in the championship as well. So I wouldn't be saying that it's a fixture issue. I would have said that the reason why Clare are there is because of their own issues.
yeah, no, they absolutely are. But I do think, look, regardless of who went down from Division 1A, we'd have the same. We'd have the same issue, and I'm not trying to say that Clare aren't going to get competitive games, and it does like give Brian, the management team, a great opportunity to bed in young lads, which we need to find.
Yeah.
Like Clare have to find a few lads this year in the league, and like it's good to see John Keneally. I know he got injured last week. Again, another man probably trying to do fits and playing inter-county, and it's just tough. There's like a lot of fixtures going on. But Jack O'Neill's playing brilliant for UL at the moment.
Dermot Strict.
Yeah, Dermot Strict playing excellent.
But like, would Brian give them the opportunity if they were in Division 1A?
He'd have to.
I don't think he would.
He'd have to.
He'd have to, but I don't think from his point of view, I don't think he would, because he wouldn't want to get relegated to Division 1B.
Well, I don't think those players
versus Clare. I'm never going to get in here.
Well, what I find interesting there is, you honestly think that Jack O'Neill, Dermot Strict, John Keneally will weaken your team that much?
No, I think Jack
top
O'Neill
level.
should be starting come championship. I think he's an unbelievable player. Haven't seen John Keneally enough. Dermot Strict is top class as well. But where is he going to fit into that forward line as well? But he would have to give him game time. It's just when you're in Division 1A, you don't want to be in that bottom 2 either. Like, you know. And
well, my
He's
main
speaking like the All-Ireland champions over there on his high horse.
they were All-Ireland champions 2 years ago. So
my main argument on it really is just as a fan now and just stepping away and one step removed from it, and like love GA and just love watching hurling football every weekend. You just really want competitive games every weekend. I'd love to go to Clare and Down this weekend and hope that it's going to be like a really tight game, or going to play whoever.
Yeah.
But it's probably not, and I'm not trying to get down riled up for this game or anything
No.
like that. I've massive respect for Down hurling.
Big time.
I just do think like Dublin and Clare at the moment are probably that bit ahead. And,
they are,
and listen, I don't have a perfect solution, so just
No.
a lad in the pub.
We're going to
just
go
talking.
away. We'll figure it all out.
what's in that then?
Right. We're going to move on because it is wildcard time, even though Bubbles has given a few already. This is the time in the show where we pick a team that maybe they think is going to be a wildcard pick for this weekend. So we're going to start with yourself, Podge. Who is your wildcard for this weekend?
Yeah, I've kind of already said it, but I probably, in my opinion, I'd be swayed on Lee Chin, but I do think Carlow, I like the way Carlow play in general. I think Wexford.
Is that on in Wexford or is it on in Carlow?
I think it's on in Wexford.
In Wexford, yeah.
Wexford, yeah.
That's on in Wexford. So yeah, I give Carlow a very good chance. I'm going with Carlow for the win.
That'd be a big win for them.
Last week I had Galway, and I feel I was very unlucky.
You were, yeah.
I would give
ball.
Carlow a big chance as well. It does all depend on Lee Chin. Even though he's come back first game, he could be a bit rusty. But I'm going for Kildare to get one over on Antrim. They haven't been good so far this year, but last year I thought they were really impressive. Like that Joe McDonagh is really hard to win. You know, there is some really, really good teams in there, especially the teams that have come down the last couple of years from the Lee McCarthy. And although they struggled in the first half of that Joe McDonagh final, they powered to victory. And look, S&C wise and the speed of hurling and all that sort, it's going to take Kildare a bit of time to get up to speed with it. But there is the nucleus of a really good team there. And I'm going to go for Kildare to beat Antrim this weekend.
Okay, that's another big one. So Kildare and Carlow. Yeah, they're good wildcard picks this week. Well, we are going to move on to our competition, because if you were tuning in to Paddy on Monday, you did have a chance to win 2 tickets to an Allianz League game. And we do have our winner. He commented under our YouTube. That's all I have to do each week. And it is Tiernan Smith 2529. So at Tiernan Smith 2529. Congratulations, Tiernan. You are our winner. And don't worry, if you do want to get in on the action, just comment under our live stream on Monday on Paddy's show. Well, we're going to move on now to Beat the Hooter. Before we do, actually, Podge, I wanted to come to you on Mary I. You're obviously in there with them as a selector. Tell us how that's going. You're going to be in the Fitzgibbon Cup final, and it's in Croke Park.
Yeah, we're here again next week. So, and like playing the game in Croke Park, it's nearly, when you look at those junior finals and the intermediate finals and the club finals that were played, I know you don't have the crowd in the stadium, but what an experience for those communities. And it's similar enough to college. Like, you're going to have a lot of the family up. You're going to have at the college, a lot of people from the college that attend the games come up, and regardless, you won't have the atmosphere of an All-Ireland final, but what an experience for those players and for both colleges to play it in Croke Park. So something the lads are really looking forward to and delighted to get back to Fitz final.
Yeah, definitely. And you're enjoying being part of it all?
Yeah, I love it. Like, you're involved with players that really want to improve, and they're at a kind of level where they're either on the inter-county squad, they're trying to break into inter-county squad.
Yeah.
They're very coachable and just a great group to work with.
Class. Okay, well, very best of luck with that.
Thanks very much.
We'll keep an eye. Okay, we're moving on now to Beat the Hooter. So we tried this out last week. It was a bit chaotic. We're back for our second week. Bubbles against Podge. There is 70 seconds on the clock, and I have 6 clues, and basically they just have to guess. You can guess as many times as you like, as I'm calling out the clues, who the GA figure is that I am mentioning. Who's going to go first? Bubbles, it's you.
Is this hurling or hurling?
This is hurling, yeah. It's all on hurling. So a GA figure within hurling. Are we ready to rock?
Yeah.
Yep. Now we're really going to see who the winner of the argument was. Start the clock. Okay, Bubbles. I started playing senior hurling in 1995.
Okay.
I made 52 championship appearances in my career. Anything coming to mind?
James O'Connor?
Nope. I played in an All-Ireland final in 2008. No.
2008. Who was in that? Henry Shefflin?
No. I retired from inter-county hurling in 2010. You do know this. It's a big name. Right, this next one you should get it. My brother won an All-Star in 2015.
Paul Kelly?
No. 47 seconds gone. I was Hurler of the Year in 2007. That's your final clue.
Dan Shanahan?
Dan Shanahan. Woo! 58 seconds. They kept it close there.
95 and then 2008, 10 I thought was either Clare or Tip.
They're tough clues though, in fairness. You got there, 58 seconds. Podge was hoping you wouldn't.
Didn't think I would.
That was impressive, no.
Was it? Was it really?
Yes.
No, I
Did you
don't
not
know.
get it last week?
I didn't do it.
Okay, we're resetting the clock. Podge, Collins, you are up. Ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, start the clock. I started playing senior hurling in 2002. I lost a Fitzgibbon final in 2004. Anything coming to mind? I captained Ireland in the Shinty Hurling Series.
Steve Malumphey?
No. I have 10 Leinster titles with my county.
JJ Delaney?
No.
You're close.
I recently featured on Lochra Gale.
Tommy Walsh?
Tommy Wall, stop the clock.
I give him a clue.
Was it the
there. I give him a better
Lochra
clue than you.
Really?
Well, I beat you.
I didn't even hear that.
That's because I helped.
Was it the Lochra Gale that gave it away? Grace. Oh, phenomenal.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right.
That
And
family as a whole, what they've
her
achieved.
her
And
brother,
Grace's brother is hurling for Mary I as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So he was our free taker the other night and he scored 13 points.
There you go.
Was that the next clue?
No. I'm a 9-time All-Star. That was the next one. Yeah, Tommy Walsh. Incredible stuff. Well, that is where we're going to leave the show for today. Thanks so much to Robbie for coming in, to Podge and to Bubbles for being here, to all of you at home for watching. Well, Paddy Andrews will be back in this chair on Monday, and I'll see you all again next Friday. Have a good weekend.